The book of Ecclesiastes really is a tour of all of the ways that all of us try to find life, happiness, security, peace, all those things apart from God. And this week, I want to look at Ecclesiastes 4. I'm going to read verse 4, and then I'm going to skip verse 5 and 6, and then I'm going to read verses 7 through 12. Then I observed that most people are motivated to success because they envy their neighbors. But this too is meaningless, like chasing the wind. I observed yet another example of something meaningless under the sun. This is the case of a man who is all alone, without a child or a brother, yet who works hard to gain as much wealth as he can. But then he asks himself, who am I working for? Why am I giving up so much pleasure now? It is all so meaningless and depressing. Two people are better than one, for they can help each other succeed. If one person fails, the other can reach out and help. But someone who falls alone is in real trouble. Likewise, two people lying close together can keep each other warm. But how can one be warm alone? A person standing alone can be attacked and defeated, but two can stand back to back and conquer. Three are even better, for a triple braided cord is not easily broken. So Ecclesiastes is a very bold and honest look, as I said a minute ago, at the ways we try to find happiness and meaning in life apart from God. I've said each week that the subtitle to Ecclesiastes could easily be The Search, because the writer is constantly searching high, searching low for that thing that seems to be missing, trying to fill that void that he senses. And he's honest about it. He talks openly about it. He admits it. He begins many of his paragraphs by saying things like, I have seen, I have tested, I have discovered, I have experienced. He's slugging his way through life, desperately looking for something to make him feel alive, something that ultimately matters, something that will ultimately satisfy. And what he concludes over and over again is that everything and everyone in this world will fail you in some way and at some point. All ground is sinking sand, he discovers. Relying on an achievement, an experience, a person, a dream, basically anything under the sun, to be our ultimate source of meaning and purpose and identity is literally like building a house on the sand. He says it's like chasing after the wind, chasing after something that can never be caught. Well, we've already looked at how he tried to find life apart from God in pleasure, in wisdom, the pursuit of wisdom, in accomplishments, making the best use of his time, and how all of those avenues left him high and dry, unsatisfied ultimately. Well, this week he looks at the meaningless of competing. We are all inescapably and unavoidably competitive. In reality, all of us suffer from the same things like fear, insecurity, sense of hopelessness from time to time, things like pride and misplaced ambition, all of that stuff. Now, I need to start by saying that competition in itself is not wrong. I mean, a certain amount of competition can push us and make us more productive than we would otherwise be. The problem, and this is the problem he addresses here, the problem is that when we try to live without God, competing becomes a subtle, almost unconscious way that we gauge our worth. Winning becomes a way to gain approval, to forge an identity. The Oxford American Dictionary defines compete this way: strive to gain or win something by defeating or establishing superiority over others who are trying to do the same. We all compete always. The more we can acknowledge, admit, and see that we are all natural-born competitors, then we at least have a chance of mitigating the being overrun by our competitive drives, by our competitive spirits. We are natural-born competitors. And an unbridled, undetected competitive spirit ruins relationships, smothers them, in part because it crushes our ability to celebrate someone else's success, to cheer other people on. It stymies our impulse to encourage in a particular moment. We're afraid to lose. We're afraid to be outshined in some way. When we conclude that our worth requires winning, attention, being the one who is noticed and loved, it prevents real friendship, and life becomes very lonely, which is what he addresses in verses 7 and 8 and verses 13 through 16.